All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Fresh Eats with Brad and Meg. Today, we're going to be making a biscuit pot pie. Some people, it might be a gluten-free version, vegetarian version, or chicken version. So just follow along more so with your recipe card, because this one's a little bit different. So the video that we made was just the original versions. So if there are any different dietary restrictions, just make sure you check on your recipe card for those specific instructions. Yeah, so I'll hand it over to Brad.
Let's see here. Having technical difficulties with this computer right now.
Yeah, baby. Perfect. What do you want? Like,
I'm gonna get you to sit down that just because I'm down.
okay.
I'm
On the she's learning how to cook.
I did. I took this
Been
on.
cooking for 6 years, but she's gonna watch someone tell her how to make a Campbell soup. Can they hear me? Can they hear me?
Yes.
What do you want? You want to make like a chicken sandwich or what do you want? You tell me. I already ate. I already jammed that in.
Yeah.
What do you? No, but I only ate because I can't eat bread.
I just bought those today. They're fresh. Butter in the cupboard there.
Do you want these toasted or do you want chicken sandwich or is that good? Do you want some hot sauce or I can just put mustard on mine. I'll put that shit on mine.
All right, so does everyone have their ingredients ready to go? Is everyone prepped and good?
Yep.
So for the regular pre-made biscuits, their oven should be about 400 degrees preheated, but if you're making the gluten-free biscuits, you should preheat your oven to 425. So just make sure everyone has their ovens turned on and is ready to go.
What's that, Mom? I can't remember.
No, you can't. That's Zother.
What?
Zother.
No, I can't eat it.
Right.
What is it though?
It's Lebanese dish.
What? Is it? Yeah, we're doing more than he does.
You can warm that up.
Sure.
All right, is there any questions before we start the first step of the recipe?
No.
All right, everyone seems to be ready. So I'm gonna share my screen. There we go.
Welcome back to Fresh Eats with Brad and Meg.
On today's episode, we're going to make chicken pot pie with a twist with the biscuits.
So for today's ingredients, we have shredded cooked chicken breast, cream of chicken soup, chicken broth, frozen mixed veggies, and pre-made biscuits.
Step 1. While your oven is preheating to 400 degrees, line a large baking tray with parchment paper. Open your biscuits by peeling off the cardboard layer. The tube should pop open now. Gently take the biscuits out of the tube and place them on the parchment paper lined baking sheet. Now place the baking sheet into the oven and bake for half the time instructed on the package. Ours said 10 minutes, so we're only going to bake it for 5 minutes at first. Make sure to put a timer on so you don't forget about the biscuits in the oven.
Just push the timer button and then put the amount. I got it. Okay.
All right, so we're only going to cook our biscuits halfway through because they're going to continue to bake on top of the pot pie once that's all done. So get your biscuits on your pan and pop them in your preheated oven.
Got them done.
Once everyone has their biscuits in the oven, we'll be able to move on. And make sure you set a timer too for your biscuits. You don't want them to burn. So only halfway than what they're supposed to be cooked. All right, does everyone have their biscuits in the oven? Good, perfect. So now we're gonna go on to making the filling. So can everyone, so we're gonna get our pan out and we're gonna put that on the stove and start heating that up to medium heat. All right, so now once everyone has their pans starting to preheat, I'll share my screen again and we'll do step 2. All right.
Step 2. While the biscuits are baking in the oven, heat a large pan on medium heat. Once the pan is hot, add butter and your frozen vegetable mixture to the pan. Sauté the vegetables until they are tender, and this should take about 3 to 5 minutes. The biscuits should be done at this point and can be taken out of the oven and placed to the side.
All right, so we're gonna cook our vegetables now. Also, make sure to salt and pepper your vegetables. Just make sure everything is seasoned. Okay, just make sure you keep stirring your vegetables so they don't stick to the pan or burn. Right, how's everyone's vegetables doing? Are they starting to like cook? Are they like defrosted now?
Starting to.
The best part about using these frozen vegetables is that they're already like cooked basically. So we just need to reheat them and let them defrost. So they're pretty quick compared to like other vegetables. But of course you could use regular vegetables as well if you didn't have these frozen vegetables, but they're really easy and good for quick meals like this. All right, so I'm assuming everyone should have their vegetables pretty much done. So now as we go on to step 3, this is where some people's recipes are going to be a little bit different with this cream of mushroom soup. So just make sure you look on your recipe card for those instructions, because for the gluten-free people, it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to share my screen and watch step 3.
Step 3. Once your vegetables are softened, add the cream of chicken soup and the broth to the pan. Stir the sauce together and allow the sauce to come to a simmer. This should only take 1 minute.
I have them.
So we added about 1¼ cups of broth in the beginning, but it's kind of up to you how liquidy or thick you like your filling. It will get thicker in the oven, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I think we added about 1¼ cups at first, and then we added, I think, almost another ½ cup after the fact. So I would say at least 1½ cups for sure, and then you can add a little bit more if you think it's going to be a little too thick, or if you think that's thick enough, you can keep it at 1½ cups. And for the gluten-free recipes, you're just going to mix all your ingredients together, put it in the pan on the medium heat, and then just mix until it starts to thicken up, the cornstarch to thicken your sauce. Everyone's sauce starting to thicken up?
Mm-hmm. Making the sauce now.
Perfect.
That's okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, laying the sauce.
Your sauce is too watery, you think? You can turn your heat up just a little bit and let it simmer a bit, and then let some of the broth cook off so it reduces a little bit and it'll become thicker. So you can turn your heat up a little bit if you think your sauce is too thin. But if it's too thick, you can add some more broth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Mine's boiling.
Perfect. You can turn it down a little bit if it is like boiling too much. Is your sauce thickened, Jesse?
It's thickening a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to take a look?
Sure.
Here.
Okay, perfect. Maybe just a few more minutes and that'll be good. You don't want it too thick because it is going to thicken up a little bit in the oven. So just before you think it's done, take it off the heat.
Oh yeah, now it's starting to get a little. There we go. Yeah.
All right, so now that everyone's sauce is getting close, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to move on to step 4.
Step 4. Now that the sauce is thickened, turn off the heat and stir in the shredded chicken. If this seems too thick, you can add a small amount of chicken broth to thin out the sauce.
Okay, so now we're going to add in our chicken or your potatoes or whatever your recipe card says, depending on your food restrictions. And if you need a little more broth, like we said in the video, you can add a little bit more just so it's not too thick, because it is going to get a little thicker in the oven. And if anyone hasn't already, your biscuits are probably done, so take them out of the oven. I just forgot about that. So hopefully everyone had their timers on. I'm sorry. And even if you did take your biscuits out of the oven, make sure the oven is still on to bake our pot pie. And it should be at 400 degrees. So people with the biscuits, the gluten-free biscuits, you can turn your oven down to 400 from the 425. All right, how's everyone's mixture doing? Is it thick enough for everyone's liking?
It's good.
Perfect. All right, if everyone has everything mixed into their pan, your heat can be off the pan now. So you can turn your stove off, and I'll share my screen and we'll move on to the next step now. Step 5. Step 5. Pour your filling into a 9 by 13 inch baking dish and evenly spread the mixture. Flip the biscuits over and place the biscuits on top of the chicken mixture to allow the other side to cook. Step. Yeah, so we can pour our mixture into our baking dish now. And when you place your biscuits on top, make sure to flip them over so the bottoms that were on the baking sheet, flip them up to the top so that they evenly cook. All right, everyone got their mixture in their baking dish and putting their biscuits on top.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Jesse, where
My-
you just
My thing just went off for some reason.
that's all right. We just put our mixture into our baking dish and now we're putting the biscuits on top.
Okay, mine was a little thick, so I put some more broth in.
Okay. So once you think it's ready, you can put that in your baking dish and then put your biscuits on top.
Does that look right?
Let's see here.
Yes, that looks perfect, Susan.
Thank you. Then it goes in the oven now?
Yes, that's going to be the next step. Once everybody's ready.
Okay.
And if you have extra biscuits left over that can't fit on your baking sheet, you can just put them back on the baking tray and pop those in the oven along with the pot pie and just bake them for the remaining time, like 5-6 minutes, whatever the container says. And then you can have some extra biscuits on the side or for breakfast tomorrow, whatever you like.
So what's the temperature for this?
400 degrees. All right, once everyone has their biscuits on top of their pot pie in the baking tray, I'm gonna share my screen and then we can move on to part 6. Step 6. Once your biscuits are all positioned on top, place the dish into the oven and bake for an additional 10 to 15 minutes until the biscuits are nice and golden brown and the filling is bubbly. Allow the pot pie to cool for 5 minutes before serving and enjoy. All right, so we can all pop our dishes in the oven. And then you could also do your extra biscuits if you didn't have enough there's too many to fit on the dish.
I just have to wait for my thing to preheat.
Your oven should be still hot from your biscuits, so it's probably okay to put in now.
Thing is, I made my biscuits a little early today.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah. Just wanted to see how it would turn out. I have to wait now.
Right, so make sure you put a timer on for your biscuits. I'm not sorry, your biscuits, your chicken pot pie. And while the pot pie is baking in the oven for the 10 to 15 minutes, this is a good time to like clean up your kitchen and do any of the dishes that you guys may have made, just so you don't have to do them later. Doing your dishes after you've already eaten supper is not a task that is enjoyable, for me at least. And this recipe is like easily adaptable too. So if you don't like the biscuits, you find them too thick, you could use a pot pie, like a puff pastry, sorry. You could use that next time. You can make your own homemade biscuits if you have a really good homemade biscuit recipe, things like that. Can anyone smell their pot pie in the oven? Is it smelling good? Yes, if you did put your additional biscuits in the oven, they're probably done now, unless your timer has a few more seconds left, but just keep an eye on those so they don't get too golden brown.
This is probably the first meal I've cooked in about 3 years.
Oh, wow. Hopefully it's been easy for you to cook.
I'm not much of a cook. My wife usually does it, but she's not been well, so I got to learn.
Well, no better time than the present, right?
No, I can bake. I just can't cook.
That's always a good trait to have. I like to bake as well.
No, the grandkids love it.
Yeah, I bet they do. How did everybody enjoy last week's Sloppy Joes?
Well, they were good.
Yeah, they were
You
really
couldn't even
good.
tell there was much.
Awesome. Did anyone notice like the mushrooms? You didn't even notice like taste of them? They just blend right in?
No, they
No.
just blended in.
Perfect.
Normally I don't like mushrooms.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. So as long as you chop them up nice and fine, you don't even notice.
Yeah.
Good way, especially if you have kids trying to sneak vegetables into their diet.
Oh. Mm-hmm. You just don't use the vegetable.
How's everyone's Popeye doing? How much time do we got left? I didn't check to see what time it was when we put it in. Should be getting bubbly and golden brown on top.
Getting there.
Since the filling was already hot, I'd probably say we got about 5 more minutes. Another easy way to make this recipe would be if you didn't have chicken breast, you could buy like a rotisserie chicken that's already cooked from the store and just shred that. That would be a really easy way instead of having to cook the chicken breast yourself. You wouldn't even eat the whole rotisserie chicken depending on how many portions obviously you were making at the pot pie, but you could use like half of it for say like a chicken salad or something and then the other half for the chicken pot pie. So things like that. And rotisserie chickens usually aren't too expensive, so it could be a good thing to throw in your grocery list once in a while just to have extra options.
So you said 10 to 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. It's almost up to 400. Almost.
Everyone else should be close to coming out of the oven now, I think. All right, so when your pot pie does come out of the oven, you want to let it sit for about 5 minutes because it probably is going to be really, really hot. So you don't want to burn your mouth. So let's make sure it sits for about 5 minutes before you start plating.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, everyone should be almost done, I do believe. Except Jessie, because you just your oven was, you had to wait for yours, but that's fine. So any questions?
Can you make the same thing with the bottom crust as well?
Yeah, you probably could. I've never tried it with that, but you definitely probably could, just the same filling. Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. Yeah.
I actually used what is a frozen pie crust for the top of mine.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Nice.
I do think it's probably going to have to cook a fair bit longer though.
Yeah, those ones do take a little bit longer. You could also like semi-cook those too before you put the filling in them, and then you could just like take the bottom and then put their filling in and then like flip the other one on top of it, take the aluminum off, and then you could pop the whole thing in the oven with like the actual like frozen pie crust. So there's an idea for anybody if you want to try that again.
Yeah, I didn't use the bottom. I just used the top actually, so it's just on the top.
Oh yeah,
but
perfect.
it's still taking a while to cook.
Yeah, those ones too. You can also get like the puff pastry like in the rounds, and you just roll them out, and then you could even cut out little rounds if you still like the rounds, or you could do the full sheet, or like any type of cookie cutters you got. Make it fancy.
Teddy bears, Christmas trees.
Yeah, there you go. Christmas, Halloween, whatever you feel like.
Have some fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're gonna let you guys finish up there. So yeah, just to make sure that your biscuits or crust, whatever you're using, is fully cooked before you take it in the oven and let it sit for 5 minutes. But other than that, if anyone has any questions for us before we go. No questions?
No questions, but thank you.
No problem. We also apologize. There was a little bit of mix up with the e-transfers this week. Hopefully that won't happen again. We do apologize. Hopefully everyone got their e-transfers by now. But other than that, we will see everybody next week, and we're going to be making a ramen noodle stir fry. So
Ooh, that sounds good.
Very easy and delicious, and it's actually vegetarian too. So people that are getting used to interested in being vegetarian or eating less meat because it's good for the environment.
My daughter's vegetarian.
I'm a biology major, so I kind of gotta say that. But all right, thank you everyone so much, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you.
Hey.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye. See you next week.